My name's Todd Nelson. Back in 2021, we started hosting, that can't be, but it is true. We started hosting Transition 30 calls. And the whole, and Dave, I think you're one of the original from like day one. And so the whole idea here is that we know that there are tons of resources. What is it, 44,000 nonprofits just in the transition space to try to help veteran or active service members as they're transitioning. That can be overwhelming. So the idea was we wanted to vet some of the things that would make sense for you as the transitioning service member to hear from. And the idea is not to give you all the information there is on Skillbridge. Dave tries, he never has been successful. But we want you to then know the highlights on it, and then you can now connect with a person that can give you more information in that area. So it really is all about you, the active service member, as you're transitioning, and it's just resources that we have vetted and found to be very, very useful, and that we are for you, not trying to pitch you on something or sell you on something, and that's very important for us on this call. So we're going to go ahead and get started. With the one thing I am going to introduce some of our presenters to is this is your friend, and it will also be your enemy. This is a 5-minute clock. The reason we call it Transition 30 is everybody gets 5 minutes with a Q&A at the end. So for the service members, don't worry about necessarily as much about taking notes, because we will have a recording of this, and we'll send you out a link that you can go on YouTube and pull that up. We'll also send you out a recording of the chat, or not recording, a transcript of the chat. So as you put your name and information in the chat, and then the presenters will have their name and information in the chat. And that way you can connect with us on LinkedIn and or connect in person as you may want to. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Todd Nelson. I am the host, but we have some great, and the SMEs on the call are not getting paid for this, at least not by me. So really appreciate your time and all of your energy in that. And so we are going to start, though. Dave, as Schantz, is always a popular host on the call, but he has to jump off early. So we're going to make sure that he gets his part in. So Dave, I was just having this conversation with somebody else. Skillbridge has changed dramatically even in the last year. So give us a little bit of information. What do we need to know on Skillbridge?
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I apologize for not being able to stay on for the full call, which includes the Q&A. So what I've done is in the chat, if you go to the chat, I gave you my LinkedIn URL. I also gave you the DoD Skillbridge Community of Practice group on LinkedIn, as well as a graph that I'm going to talk about of how to conduct keyword searches on the Skillbridge website. As far as the changes go, what Todd, what also I'm going to ask of you is if you can put in your YouTube channel into the chat, because a lot of the things that I've discussed with Skillbridge previously, while some of it still may apply, I don't want to go over it right now. So if you want to get more in-depth information as far as what I've presented before, check out some of Todd's videos previously. Also connect with me on LinkedIn. Big changes for Skillbridge. The DoD has ended open enrollment for organizations that are interested in becoming DoD Skillbridge approved. And what they've moved to is a seasonal enrollment model. So October 1st to December 1st, and then February 1st to April 1st. Those are the only 16 weeks across the entire year when organizations are able to file to become approved by the DoD. Why is this important? A lot of you are looking at organizations that maybe aren't DoD approved. As of right now, we've got more than 6,200 organizations approved. I invite you to conduct keyword searches to really cast a wide net across many organizations, but I understand you may already have an affinity towards a specific organization. If they are not approved, they've got to get their application in between February 1st and April 1st, or October 1st and December 1st, and that's going to be the same timeline every year. The DoD has indicated no third window throughout the year, even moving forward. Furthermore, when you connect with an organization and they want to offer you an opportunity, that opportunity must be already approved by the DoD in the organization CMS portal, right? It's a portal that the DoD gives them access to. It's basically two-way communication between the company and the DoD. So if you want to do a human resources opportunity, but they only have logistics and IT, you're going to be denied by your transition office because that organization has not been approved by the DoD to offer that specific opportunity. So I want to tell you some of these things just to kind of cross the T's, dot the I's, and help the organization through the process. This is a brand new process. A lot of already existing organizations are tripping through trying to figure things out. It helps if a service member kind of already knows the process and can help a new organization out. Third-party organizations, right? Hire Military, Hiring Our Heroes, right? Some of those other organizations, right? Alfredo used to work for one. The entire state of Virginia has an approved Skillbridge program. What's changing about that is no organization is allowed to facilitate Skillbridge opportunities for a non-approved organization. All organizations that want to touch and participate in Skillbridge must be approved by the DoD. They don't have to facilitate their own opportunities if they still want to go through the state of Virginia. They still want to go through Hiring Our Heroes, they can do that, but they must be approved. So that way, if anything happens that is not supposed to happen, that singular organization that made the mistake is the only one kicked out of the program. 51% or more of training must be asynchronous, not in person, asynchronous, meaning that it must be live taught. It can still be virtual. You could be on a Zoom learning from somebody, that's fine. But 51% or more must be asynchronous. No more death by PowerPoint. No more just sitting in front of videos, clicking through. That doesn't get you anything. The DoD saw what some companies were doing. There's no benefit to you. So now, if certifications want to be offered to you, that's fine. 51% or more of training must be taught live. If you're looking for certifications, please understand what the difference between a nationally recognized certification is and a university of, company A, right? Coursera, Google are not nationally recognized certifications. I have never seen a job description that says, give me, you must have a Coursera project manager certification. That doesn't exist, right? It's not nationally recognized, right? So please, if you're chasing down or you want to earn certifications, please make sure that it's nationally recognized. So that way you can wave that piece of paper in front of any organization and they will respect it. They will honor it. Next thing is going to be running keyword searches. Okay. So when you go on the Skillbridge, Skillbridge locations page, and I'll post that link in the chat as well. What you want to do is find out all the organizations who may be able to offer you the kind of opportunities that you're looking for. So right there is that link to that page. Use the graph that I posted up top on the chat. That is going to be your how-to guide, right? So if you want to do IT, do information technology, cyber, right? Be artistic in your keywords, right? And run those keywords at least once a week, because every week new organizations are being added to the group. Todd, how am I doing on time? I was
You're done.
looking at you. Oh, I'm done. Oh,
You're
I just
done.
kept rambling. Sorry, everybody. I just got on a whirl. Connect
That's
with
all
me
right.
on LinkedIn. Sorry, I can't stay. If you have any more questions about Skillbridge, be happy to answer them for you. Good luck in your transition.
Yeah. Hey, Dave, can you stay on for 30 seconds?
Yes.
To tell us about that group that you have and why would somebody reach out to you on LinkedIn or through that group?
Yeah, so the DoD Skillbridge Community of Practice Group was started because the DoD doesn't have their own social media presence when it comes to Skillbridge. And actually just finding out from the program office, they're not allowed to really do any kind of social media. And so because of that, we want to help shape the narrative, give you the information, and then kind of set you off and let you do what you want to do. So I allow 3 types of people in that group. It's going to be service members, it's going to be transition counselors, and it's going to be approved company POCs. So all we do in that group is talk about Skillbridge. Organizations are going to share their opportunities. I want direct connections, right? So when Lucas for Recruit Military, when he shares a Skillbridge opportunity, I want you to learn directly from Lucas. I want you to find out directly from Lucas, who works for Recruit Military, what his company is about, what his program is about, right? Learning through, right, the levels of people is where, remember that telephone game when you were younger, right? The initial message was never the correct message at the end. I want you to learn directly from them. And I want Lucas to be able to reach out to service members. So when you post your resume and you say, hey, I'm looking for this kind of opportunity, bam, Lucas is going to jump into the comments and say, hey, I've got this great opportunity for you, right? So it's a great connecting tool. And it's where I share a lot of the information that I get from the program office that they don't share themselves.
Awesome. And you dropped that in the chat. So Dave, thank you so much. Hop off whenever you need to.
Thank you.
We're going to move on. So as the host, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the financial preparedness piece. Josh Atkinson is a connection of mine on LinkedIn, and he just made a post about getting certs and some of that stuff. And we were commenting back and forth about the fact is that when it comes to readying for your transition, if you don't feel ready, today's the day to start. But really, 3 to 5 years out is the bare minimum. Most of the folks that have transitioned would say that's 3 to 5 years out from your transition is when you should start looking at certs. When you should, same thing falls in when it comes to financial preparedness, because there is a world of difference, even on the taxation between a military member and now a veteran. For instance, BAS, BAH, that all goes away. If that's all you're used to, that changes drastically. I was talking to a client the other day and they said their wife was struggling because now all of a sudden they realized when they were buying a house that they had always lived on base. They never had to worry about security issues because you were on a military base. When you move off of that base, all of a sudden that is a private citizen concern that now becomes your concern. And there's a reason gated communities are more expensive and all of that. So there is a lot to consider when you are transitioning. So I want to bring up some 3 or 4 of the very most common areas. Number one, SBP. You were automatically opted in. You do need to opt out. If you have a spouse, then they need to sign off on opting out. SBP starts at 6.5% of your pension, and it is something that is very, very personal. Do not take your battle buddies' word for why you did SBP or why you did not. It is a multi-thousand-dollar decision. And it's very, very personal. It goes back to your medical history, your spouse's medical history, and honestly, when you start is a big part in that because you do want to weigh out your options. So I'm not here to talk about SBP. If you want to have a more in-depth discussion, I do that quite often with service members. Walk through your individual scenario, reach out to me. We can set up another time to do that. SGLI to VGLI, big discussion because part of the issue that is looming for all of you is your VA evals. Those are coming up. If you're in the 6-month window and you can do the BDD process, that's awesome. But realize that the more you go through the VA process, the more you are probably disqualifying yourself from qualifying for a private life insurance. VGLI is a great service, nothing wrong with it until you start to get 55 and 60 and 65. That's when all of a sudden the premiums skyrocket. You hadn't thought that through. And so it is something, again, 3 to 5 years out. The foundation piece is making sure that you realize that VA, because you're now documenting all the things that have been wrong with you, life insurance companies don't like that. So do that before you start the VA eval process. Lock in with a private life insurer. They're all over the place. And make sure you grab hold of that. Taxes. Several on this call, Lucas, I know you're one, has mentioned what a heart attack inducing feeling it is when that, especially that first year, if when you transition, you step into that six-figure job, and you're double dipping because you're on terminal leave, and everything sounds great until you come to tax day the year after, and you realize that when you were in the out processing, they just said, here, check a box. You checked default toward 10%, and now all of a sudden you're in the 24% tax bracket. All of a sudden, that those thousands and thousands of dollars you should have been withholding comes due April 15th of the following year. Make sure that you really walk through the numbers on that, because that is for sure something that's going to bite you. And then finally, TSP, lots of good things happen with that. If you have a loan on your TSP, do not retire without having that loan paid off, because within 90 days, they will take that out if you can't repay it, and then it becomes a distribution. You get a 10% penalty. It's added to your taxes. So lots of things to consider. If you have any questions on the financial preparedness piece, reach out to me. But now we are going to move on to Alfredo Torres, who is not just the myth, he's not just the legend, he is the man. So Alfredo, when we're talking transition, I know you're heavily involved in this space. What do you want the folks to know?
So first of all, hello everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm gonna just give you a hodgepodge of stuff. We got experts here. We're gonna talk to you about mentoring. Gonna talk to you about resumes. Gonna go in depth on some stuff. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you about everything else. Okay, these are the things that you don't think about until you get out. Number one, and feel free to write them down. And I'm gonna go out of order. I'm gonna talk for 5 minutes, as long as Todd keeps me honest. Let's start with filing for your disability. Don't be a tough guy. Don't be a Marine. Don't be a Special Forces. No, file for your disability. Okay. I'm 100% disabled. You are not going to affect my money by you filing. Okay. You are not any less hurt because you still have your arms and legs. And most importantly, you are not going to be as old as you are now when you become as old as I am. Okay? Filing for disability isn't about what you get when you get out. It's about how it helps you 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, how it helps your family. When I got out in 2005, I used to run 5Ks. Okay? Now, if I'm anywhere where I'm going to walk a lot, got my cane right here. Okay. I haven't run in years. I don't ride a bike anymore. This is the long-term effects of what you guys and girls, I don't know if there's any girls here, but what you guys are blowing off because you think you're indestructible. Number two, communication. If you are married, if you are in a serious relationship where you think that you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody, make sure you talk to them. As you're transitioning out, this is not your decision alone. This is the decision of you and your partner, okay? And they need to be included in every step of that decision, okay? God knows how many people I knew were getting out and were planning on working when their spouse said, no, this is my time. I'm going to be the breadwinner. Or we're planning on moving back to Idaho. And the spouse is like, no, we're going to Fort Lauderdale. Okay. You need to be on the same page. And the only way that happens is by communicating with each other. Another thing is networking. And you guys have already started it by doing it here, by coming to this, okay? The easiest way for you to move forward in life is networking, not just at a job, in life. We all network and we all benefit from that network, okay? You talk about the good old boys network. There's no such thing as the good old boys network. There's the good old persons network, okay? Because whoever you are, whatever you are, there's a network set up for you, okay? They're like people. For us, it's the good old veterans network. If you're a veteran, you reach out to a veteran, they're going to help you, okay? But you got to reach out. You got to connect, okay? So remember that. Remember, nobody transitions alone. Nobody. When I got out in 2005, I tried it. It didn't work. Okay. Right here, you have a nice beginning of a group of people for you to connect with. They're all putting their connections in on their links in the chat. You should all be going out and reaching out and connecting and finding out how these people can help you and who they connect you, who they can connect you to help you. Wow, already? Jeez. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is this. It's going to be about mental health. If you are a senior leader, you got some level of PTSD. I will tell you that right now, simply because of what you've been exposed to. If you were in combat, you got PTSD. If you were in an accident, you got PTSD. Some level. I'm not saying that you're all out there, but you have some level. Take your mental health seriously. There's no shame in saying that you have issues. I have PTSD. The stigma is gone. The shame is gone. You will not lose your security clearance or your guns, which is the other big thing, because you got PTSD. You'll lose those because you did something that's going to take away either your clearance or your or your guns. Connect with me. I got tons of tips on tons of different things that are all part of the transition process.
Yeah. Alfredo, thank you so much. And I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the SMEs on the call, they were all shaking their heads as you were talking, because the divorce rate when folks get out is through the roof, and a lot of times it's because exactly what you were talking about. Oh, the Army's not telling me what to do anymore. So it's a huge part of the conversation. So really, really appreciate. And the one thing that I know, so I'm not a veteran, but everybody else on this call, or for the most part, is. And when Keith Cassant, who was supposed to be on the call, emailed all of us and said, "Hey fam," he meant it. The veteran community is one of the most close-knit communities that I've ever run across. And so, Alfredo, you're exactly right. There isn't one person on this call that won't help, but don't take advantage of it either. You have to reach out, and don't be the person that once you reach out and get from, then you ghost them and, and never talk to them again. That can get taxing as well. Okay, Alfredo, thank you. So Lori Norris. Lori has all kinds of things going on, and she posted about her podcast, and all of the SMEs have been individual guests on her podcast. It's a fantastic resource. Is it four seasons? Five.
We
That's
just
right.
started 5.
Just started 5, and I saw Leslie was one of the first ones on season 5. So great stuff that she puts out. Lori, I know you love the 5 minutes, so I'm going to give you all the 5 minutes that you need. So to tell us what we need to know.
By the way, did you see my petition in the comments? Like, you need to look at the comments, because I think there are a lot of people that agree with me, but whatever. Anyway, call me I'm a truth teller. So by the way, you haven't started the timer yet, right?
No.
Or hit a reset because I'm taking you to task. Come on now.
Okay.
All right.
All righty.
Well, my name's Norris. I'm here to talk to you about something that nobody wants to talk about, and that is your resume. And so I'm going to give you 5 things that your resume must contain today. And I'm going to try to do that in 5 minutes. I always get the hook. I'm like Dave and Alfredo, but that's okay. They keep inviting me back. So obviously I bring you some value. But what I want to talk to you about is the resume and those 5 things the resume should contain. But first, I want to tell you that your resume is absolutely not the most important part of your military transition. It is not even the very first thing you should do in your military transition. Yes, your resume is important and it absolutely is something you need to think about. But if all you think about is writing a resume, you're not going to be successful. There's so much more that goes into it. Your resume is a big part of it, but it's not the first thing you need to do. And I'm going to tell you, and if you listen to any episodes of the podcast, the one word I say, it's almost like the where's Waldo of my podcast, is I use the word focus just about in every single episode. I think I'm going to get it tattooed on my forehead. So I think that that's right. David has listened. So I always say, take a shot of water when I say focus, because we don't want you to drink yourself to death, because I say it a lot. So, but what I really want to talk to you about is the very first thing that you need to do in the military transition is figure out your focus. Your focus drives everything. And that's really the first thing your resume needs, is a focus. There is no such thing as a generic effective resume. A resume that tries to appeal to everyone is going to appeal to no one. And nobody wants to hire a jack of all trades. A jack of all trades is a great addition to the team, but when you're going through that screening process, they are looking for a specific person with specific skills. And if you come in there with, I can do anything, that's not what they're looking for. And you're not going to make it through the screening process. Think of the hiring process as a funnel. They take all the candidates and they slowly whittle them down through the funnel. And if you're not focused in your resume, you're not going to make it through that funnel. So it's really important that your resume has a focus. Think of it like this. If you're going fishing in the ocean and you don't know what kind of fish you're going to catch, you don't know what kind of bait to bring, what kind of tackle to bring, what part of the ocean to go to, and you're going to come back from fishing sunburned, tired, hungry, and frustrated. And you're going to say, there are no fish in this ocean. And I'm going to tell you, there's fish in the ocean, just like there's jobs available out there. And I know this is the wild, wild west right now in this job market, but people are landing jobs. And the way they're doing it is by ensuring their resume has a focus. So that's number 1. The second thing your resume needs to have is your unique value. Your resume is not about you. It's not about you. It is about how you can add value to the employer. So take the focus off of yourself and start thinking, how can I write about the value that my skills and experience have brought in the past? And so think of your resume as about where you're going next, not about where you've been. So how can I use the examples from my past to show that I am uniquely qualified for where I want to go next? Okay. Third thing is measurable accomplishments. People think what you do in the military is nothing like what they do in the private sector. And you know what? Sometimes that's true. And there are a lot of differences, but there are so many similarities and transferable skills. But it's your job to paint the picture of your military experience, to translate what's a billet. Well, that's just staffing allocation, right? It's painting the picture. It's translating your terminology, right? And that's number 4, is translated military terminology. It's your job to help them understand your value. It's your job to speak in language that they will understand. And so you're not going to go to a foreign country that doesn't speak English and expect everyone to start speaking your language. Don't transition out of the military into the private sector and expect them to accommodate you. Okay. And that very last thing are examples and stories. Your resume is proof. You're telling them stories. So, people will put like core competencies on their resume, and it's just a big laundry list of skills. That does you absolutely no good. I sat in a meeting today with 2 recruiters that told us, like, I don't care about your keywords. I want to know stories and examples of how you've used those skills and make them relevant and relatable to me, to my job, and to what I want you to do next. Did I make it in under 5 minutes?
Uh,
I didn't see the timer get held up.
Ish. We'll say ish.
All right, that was really fast talking. I promise on my podcast, I do not talk that fast. So I really, literally, everybody on this panel has been on the show. Come and check it out. There's 170 episodes, I think, out there. So come check it out and give us a listen. I promise you'll get some good information.
Yeah, awesome. Lori, thank you so much. I know you used to say that you were bilingual. You speak civilian and military. So
I do.
I love that. I love that whole thing. Lucas Connolly, tell us what we need to know. I know with Recruit Military, it can overlap a little bit on some of the things we talked about. So tell us what we need to know when it comes to transition.
You got it. And I'll try not to overlap too much. A couple of things first. Recruit Military. Who are we? We're a recruiting company that specializes in helping transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses find meaningful careers. All right. So if you go to the Recruit Military website, you're going to find right now, as of today, so 350,000 job opportunities, all from companies that want to hire military talent. So you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Monster, you can go to Ladders, and there'll be 3 million, 4 million, 5 million job opportunities. This is a curated list of companies that want to hire veterans, or they want to hire transitioning service members, or they want that mil spouse talent. All right, so refine your search from 5 million job opportunities down to about 300,000. Use the tools that we have, and we can help you find a job. Talk for a little bit about Skillbridge, okay? If you have the opportunity to do a Skillbridge, any Skillbridge at all that's approved, that's at least mildly associated with what you want to do, take the opportunity. All right, take the opportunity. Trust me. Anything you do within your last 6 months still in the military is not going to compare to the experience that you get working with a civilian company, acclimating to the civilian workplace, getting to know the civilian language, adjusting your temperament to civilian expectations in the environment. If you get a chance to do Skillbridge, do it. If you're having trouble finding one, the Skillbridge website, we have several hundred on our website as well. Come to our website, register, create your profile, and complete your profile. Upload your resume, and one of our customer or our candidate service representatives will reach out to you to talk you through optimizing your profile. So take your profile from 50% to 100%, get your resume uploaded, and we've got folks working behind the team going through these resumes, doing matches, and trying to connect you with employment that makes sense. All right, we've got 100+ events every year. Some of our physical, Cavazos, Moore, Bragg, Wright Pat, Irwin, all over the place. If you can go to a physical event, it's amazing. All right. Piece of it is finding a job. A whole nother piece of it is that networking. There's nothing in networking quite like a handshake and a smile. All right. People hire people. Computers that get automated applications don't hire people. People hire people. All right. Computers send rejection letters. People send offer letters. So if you're just interfacing with that computer, apply. You're talking to a machine designed to fire you before you get a job. You got to be networked. All right. So go to those events if you can. If you can't reach one physical, we have got virtual ones. Go to our website. All right. Your BDD, your claim, please, as has been said, file the claim. File the claim. Because I'll tell you what, I've been out of the military. Alfredo joined the military. I believe he was a Roman legionnaire originally. I got out in 16. You get old fast. All right. If you did anything exciting, loud, or high altitude in the military, anything that you dropped out of an airplane, jumped out of a helicopter, fell out of the back of a Bradley head first into the concrete, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years later, that little thing that bothered you this much now ruins your whole day and you can't sleep. Okay. Nothing's getting better. So do the claim. A couple years later, follow up. Get connected with a VSO like DAV. File, refile. Plus, your kids can get college tuition waived if you're 100% TNP. So it's not, like Alfredo said, it's not just for you. It's for your family as well. All right. In your transition, I got to tell you something. So you're walking down the street, you find a quarter. All right. I find a quarter on the sidewalk, right? Hey, great. Good day. I found a quarter. That was an accident. I hear people say, I'm not worried about it. I know I'll find a job. as if like the quarter, it's going to happen by accident. You're not going to find a job. You're going to hunt a job. You're going to hunt an opportunity. You're going to hunt for a piece of real estate. You're going to hunt for a promotion. You're going to hunt for the education because it's not coming to you. You have to go get it. Nobody's going to ring your phone and let you know that there's an opportunity at the company across the street from you. There's a college program that's perfect for your professional development. There's a networking event at the bar around the corner. You got to go hunt it and find it. And if you're not hunting, you're not eating. Not only do you have to hunt like you're hungry right now. All right. And if you're not hunting, you're not eating. All right. Like I said, network. You have to be networking. If you're not networking, every job I've gotten since I left the military was from networking. I've gotten exactly 0 jobs by clicking apply and waiting for my phone to ring. And if that's your methodology, click apply and wait for the phone to ring, you are what's referred to as unemployed. All right. Find a job before you buy a house. I'm almost out of time. Find a job before you buy a house. A house is like an anchor. The bigger it is, the harder it is to get rid of, and you can't make a profit in less than 5 years. So if you buy a house and then you start searching for a job, you might be in trouble. All right. And that's it. And lastly, I'll give you the words of Herb Thompson. Own your journey. This is your transition. It's not happening to you. It is a journey that you are navigating. Get your hands on the wheel, get your feet on the pedals, and power through. Right.
Awesome. Lucas, as always, thank you. That's some great insight. And last, we have Leslie Coffey representing American Corporate Partners. But one of the things I was really looking forward to, Leslie, I know you sent out an email to the presenters about, kind of old home weeks / getting to see people you haven't seen in a while. But I know the last time you were on a call, your service member was actually going through this whole transition process and maybe still is. And I know this had become very, very real for you. So tell us what you want us to know when it comes to American Corporate Partners and transition.
Sure. Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leslie Coffey. I'm the VP of Military Engagement for ACP. And as Todd mentioned, I am a veteran spouse. My service member wrapped up 30 years last year. So we're adjusting to this side of the gates. And I love how you said start 3 years out, because that's what we did. Absolutely. And it's still an adjustment. Still working through it. ACP, what we focus on is combating underemployment. We want to make sure you find the right position and the right career path at the right level. So we don't want you to be underemployed. The way we go about doing that, we are a nationwide nonprofit. Your service deserves our service. And the way we go about doing that is to provide one-to-one customized mentorship. So it's one mentor to one veteran or one mentor to one spouse for a year. We request at least 1 hour a month. We have more than 125 corporate partners, and that's where about 65% of our mentors come from. And I can drop links in the chat when we're done, when I'm off the timer. The other 35% of our mentors are not affiliated with our corporate partners. They may be civil servants, they may be academia, healthcare, they may be entrepreneurs, they may be social workers, like you name it. Had a veteran looking to open a family farm. I've had, I've got astronauts that are mentors. I've got congressmen. I've got actors. So you name the career path, and we're gonna find Montez Ford, who's a wrestler, is a mentor to our program. So really, you name it. We're gonna go on the hunt for the best fit mentor, and it's really about learning from somebody a season or two ahead of you in the career path that you're trying to get into, somebody that can be that sounding board, somebody that can really show you the ropes. And when we talk about networking, guess what? If they're in that career path, most of their network is going to be in that career path too. And I love how everybody talked about, I can't tell you the last time I applied for a position, like online, and got a position. It's all about your network, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you and who's going to be talking about you behind closed door. Who's going to be what we call a sponsor. So there are different things. There's coaches, there's mentors, there's sponsors. Coaches are, if you think about it, I'm a basketball fan, so you can think about a basketball coach. A mentor is somebody's walking alongside you, and they're walking that journey with you. A sponsor is somebody that's talking about you behind closed doors, is advocating for you inside of an organization. The thing about networking is that you need to build it before you need it. And it takes time, right? Because if somebody's going to put their name behind you, like refer you for a position, that's their brand. Like if I'm bringing somebody in my company that I've been for 4 years, they're going to be a reflection of me. They're going to be a reflection of my work ethic. They're going to be a reflection of everything I've been working my ass off for 4 years to build. So I'm not just going to give that out to anybody, right? I need you to know that you're going to be a good reflection of me and my professionalism. So that all starts with a relationship, that all starts with this foundation of trust. It's just not something you connect easily on LinkedIn and say, hey, can you give me a referral? So just know your network, you got to build it before you actually need it. Also, we can help you if you're looking to launch or grow a small business. We have ACP Ventures, which is a 3-pillar support program for entrepreneurs. Not only do you have the year-long one-to-one mentorship, but you also have ACP Village. Again, I'll drop the links in the chat when we're done. ACP Village is a best-in-class resources on demand. There's no time limit there. You can have it for years. Our partners such as McKinsey and Goldman Sachs, Visa, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Amazon, Travelers, Google, like VBA or SBA, all the courses that they provide their entrepreneurs, they actually gave them to us to put in the village. So you can filter by the stage of business. Maybe you're planning, you're building, you're launching, you're growing. You can filter by medium, podcast, webinars, articles, all these things. And there's a village of supporters there. That's the whole reason for the name of the village. There's actually entrepreneurs there. You can crowdsource for information. You can ask questions like, should I do an LLC? Or what's the taxes or legalities of this? Ask the questions in there because you have entrepreneurs that can answer. So you think of it kind of like Reddit, but it's safe because it's just the ACP community. So I don't know where I'm at on time. I figured I'll drop a bunch of relevant links in the chat and then happy to answer any questions.
Leslie, thank you. Really, it's that village, that's new to me. Is that a new addition to the ACP?
It is. We launched it with the help of the VA, and we did a soft launch in September. We did a hard launch in November. Please, you can always join and you can share your expertise there. But yeah, the VA coined it as groundbreaking when they helped us launch it. So it's a 3-pillar support. And the whole purpose and the reason is to empower veterans with information to keep them from making catastrophic mistakes.
Yeah, that's huge. All right. Well, we always have time for Q&A. If there's not very many answers, I know there was some talk in the chat about the ATS. Lori, I know you took advantage and I think maybe made some comments. Now's the time for Q&A. If we don't have that much in the Q&A, what I do to wrap up is I go back to each one of the presenters and I ask them in 10 seconds why somebody should reach out to them specifically. So do we have any questions? If you do, go ahead and unmute yourself and we'll take those as we can.
Hey, Todd, I have a question. This is Anthony Lozano.
Yeah.
Hey, so you mentioned taxes and to beware of that double dipping during that. So this is assuming the service member has a job or employment during their transitional period, terminal or PTY period. Is that correct?
For the most part, because what you need to realize is that, especially like if you have your pension, if you don't know what you want to check when you go, now you can always go back and correct it, but nobody corrects it until after that first year is done. And then they realize, oh crap, what have I done? So know what that number is that you want to have them withhold, because they will give you no guidance when you're in that out processing format. So the thing to remember is your VA doesn't count as taxable income. But your pension does, and then if you do land a job, and then your spouse now that may not have been as employable now is adding, you could easily jump 2 or 3 tax brackets. And when you're only withholding 10% on your military pension, that can really be thousands and thousands of dollars. It's correctable, but again, it can create a heart attack if you're, especially that first year. So be thinking through that as you go into those, the out processing meetings, but great question.
Okay, I had several other, I don't want to hog the branch. I'll ask one more. You mentioned, let's see, SGLI, VGLI. So for those of us who are in the claims process right now, is it too late to consider eligibility for, private insurances, based on what we're attempting to claim through VA?
Yep. Great question. Start tonight. If you, you can reach out, and I think Navy Fed has an online application. There's a lot of different places. But now is the time, because once those start to get documented, you can very much make yourself uninsurable.
Copy. Thank you very much.
Yep. Any other questions?
Hey, Todd. Jacob Richard here. Quick question, maybe
Yes,
for
sir.
Lori or anybody else that can answer. So I'm currently going through the process, been trying to get connected with a Skillbridge opportunity. But one of the things that I have been noticing as I'm connecting with different organizations is that they're asking for resumes, but specifically it's not for a specific role. It's hey, let's take a look at your resume and let's see what you're interested in or what we can get you fit in. I'm just curious if maybe that could be spoken to just briefly on how we should go about trying to set up our resume when we're not yet looking for a targeted role that we're applying for a job. It's a generic, Skillbridge opportunity. Say, hey, we're going to find a spot for you. Send in your resume.
So
Alfredo or Lori?
yeah, I would love to hear Alfredo's take on this too, but I would just say that, let's just say, we'll just use this in a hypothetical sense. You're applying to a Skillbridge at Walmart, and Walmart has everywhere from the door greeter to a regional manager that manages 6 locations to a warehouse manager, right? And let's just say that your logistics, your whole career has been logistics, and you would like to do something in the logistics career field. They're probably not going to look at you for a door greeter job, right? And so what you've got to figure out, Jacob, is like, what do you want to do next? And I know that probably the military never said to you, like, hey, what makes you happy? What do you like to do? What do you enjoy? What fits your personality? And guess what? You get to figure that out now. And you don't have to figure out what you want to do forever, but look, what's next for you? And so I would at least think about what kind of a role you want to look at. Right. And even if like, okay, I want to look at these 5 companies, what would I like to do within those 5 companies? And so, they're looking at what are you capable of? What's your background look like? We'll find a place for you. I want you to take some control over that and say, here's what I want to do. Right. And I know that's kind of like it kind of counterintuitive, because you're like, well, they're going to tell me where I should go, but I don't want anybody to tell you where to go anymore. I want you to take charge of that and figure out what you want to do next and write a resume that's as closely targeted to that as possible, if that makes sense. That would be my suggestion. What do you think, Alfredo?
I think you're spot on. I think what you have to realize is, if I'm telling you, give me a resume, I'm asking you, what do you want? Right? Because I'm not saying, give me a resume for this logistics position I got, or give me a resume for the security position. I'm telling you, hey, I'm interested in you. Give me a resume. What do you want to do? Okay. And one thing that I want you to remember when it comes to writing your resume, is don't just look at your MOS. Don't just look at your rating. Okay. I was logistics. I was an aviation storekeeper in the Navy. Okay. 13 years. Well, I did 4 years as a submarine yeoman. Then I did 9 years as an aviation storekeeper. My resume should be did logistics. I did warehousing. I did shelf stocking, all of that crap, right? My resume had 13 years of career counseling because that was my additional duty. Everybody here, if you've spent more than 4 years in the military, you had additional duties. You had collateral duties. Those are skills that you have. Those are abilities that you have. This is something, my career counseling had nothing to do with logistics. When I got out and I straightened out my life, that's a whole different story. But when I got out and I was able to straighten out my life, my resume led me to a career counseling type job, career coaching, transition coach, all of that stuff. But that came from 13 years of a collateral duty. Every duty station that I went to. So don't forget that. Okay, you're more than just a gunny. I mean, you're more than just an infantryman. You're more than just a bosun's mate. You're more than just an electrician. Okay, and the reality is, if you're a senior leader, you haven't been an electrician in a long time. You haven't been an infantryman in a long time. Okay, even in logistics, you haven't been a storekeeper in a long time. When's the last time that you put something on a shelf or that you filled a purchasing order? You're not, you're a leader. And that comes with a whole set of skills also. But Lori's 100% right. What do you want? What do you want?
If I could add to here, so I ran a Skillbridge in a prior life. And one thing to know about Skillbridge is they have to report to the DoD every month on who got a job, and they want to make sure that you got a job in what you're being trained in. You know, it's great to go to the Skillbridge, it's no good if you got a job at McDonald's, right? So you do your research. I think Dave said, I don't know how many companies, we'll say 4,300, whatever it is, right? There's so many companies out there. You want to know from those that have been through it before you, how was their experience? You want to do your research there. In addition to Dave's group, you can crowdsource for information in Dave's group, but also on Facebook, I find them a little bit more honest, if you will. It's called the Skillbridge Network. And you can just say, hey guys, I'm looking at these 4 Skillbridges. What was your experience? And they're going to give it to you brutally honest, right? But they owe you their placement rate. They have to provide that to you. Is their placement rate 60% or is it 95%? Because here's the thing, if it's not a good fit, and so Jacob, I would highly recommend getting a mentor before selecting your Skillbridge, because your mentor can help you to narrow the scope and get the right path. Because if it's not a good fit and you get in there and you're like, this is not what I thought it was, you're at the end of the Skillbridge, you're looking all over again. Like you're just starting the process all over again. And it's a waste of time of both you and them. And yes, people say free labor. That's not the case, because companies, 40% of your first year salary is training. So they're training you. So they actually are paying. Because it's man hours, right, to train you. But we want to make sure that it's a good fit so that at the end, when you're on terminal leave, you're not starting to look all over again. So I highly, highly recommend getting a mentor in advance, figuring out the right fit, and then doing a lot of research for that company.
If I could just add something on that, if you guys are noticing, all of this stuff ties together. Okay. You're talking about Skillbridge, and yet what is Leslie talking about? She's talking about mentoring. Why? Because you should be doing what they call informational interviews. If you're interested in a position, right? And this is why you start transition 3 or 4 years before. Everybody, when I got out, it was 6 months. You start your transition 6 months before you get out. Okay. When I got into the space, it was 2 years, 18 months to 2 years. Now they're talking about 3 or 4 years you should be starting. Okay. And it's because you got to figure out what you want to do. Okay. And understand this, when you get out of the military, you do what you want. Okay, you're not signed into a 4-year contract or a 6-year contract, right? You do what you want. So what do you want to do? I don't know. Okay, that's great. I didn't find out what I wanted to do till I was 50 because nobody told me I needed to research different things. And so you get that, do informational interviews so that you figure out what the day-to-day is in any job. Okay? Because everybody wants to play guitar like Jimi Hendrix until you find out that he played 12 hours a day until his fingers bled. Then at that point, I don't think I want to do it. Okay? So everybody wants to do a job until they find out what the job entails, the day-to-day. That's what the informational interview is for. Once you get that down and you've narrowed it, right? Now, this is the time to go seek that mentor. Because now I know what I want to do. Let me connect with somebody who has been successful in that field. Okay. And by the way, mentors aren't just for jobs. We have mentors in everything: religion, marriage. I smoke cigars. I had a mentor who took me along my cigar journey. Okay. I'm a mentor to a lot of people when it comes to rock and roll, music, all kinds. You got mentors in all aspects of life. Okay. Montez Ford, I would love for him to be my mentor, just so that him and I could talk wrestling. And he's a veteran, by the way, also. But the thing is, do you see how this is all tying in? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You know, also, that mentor can help you how to write or how to formulate that resume, right? That you want to concentrate on, right? Because again, I've got a zillion. I did on top of logistics. I was a safety guy. I was a QA guy. I was a PT guy. I was a career counselor guy. I was a training guy. That's a lot when you're coming out of the military. I got awards for that kind of stuff. I was recognized for that kind of stuff. Okay. That's a lot of information. How am I going to put this into a 2-page resume? Okay. Well, this is where I can, once I know what I want, right? I'm going to brush away a lot of that stuff. And this is where the mentor is going to help me realize, hey, you know what, Alfredo, you did this. That's great. That's what you want to concentrate on, that area. Then you get together with people like Lori who can help you straighten that thing out, and you're good to go. And remember, this is just one aspect of transition.
Yeah.
Alfredo, I just wanted to
absolutely.
say the link I put in before I mentioned those books, the link I put in is Find Your Calling. That's a career transition that's actually part of the 4-Block. So 4-Block's founder, Mike Abrams, is one of our original alumni. He came through in 2009. And so we do a lot of stuff together. And this is a curriculum. It's self-paced. It can be 6 weeks. It can be 3 days. But that is Find Your Calling. And then my personal favorites are Designing Your Life and What Color Is Your Parachute.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't want to cut anybody off, but I do want to be aware that especially our SMEs, they have lives, and all of us do. But is there any burning question that we want to finish up with? If not, I'm going to start with what I see as the order of presenters, and just 10 seconds. Why would somebody reach out to you? But any final questions? All right, Lori, 10 seconds. Why would somebody reach out to you?
Well, as you said earlier, I do call myself bilingual. I speak both military and civilian, and I'm really good at helping you translate what you've done in the military into where you want to go next. I invite you to listen to the show because I call it the curves ahead sign. I can't change the fact that the military transition might be bumpy or curvy, but I can warn you and give you tools to help you navigate that straight from the mouths of other veterans who have already done it.
Awesome. I'm the next on the presenter list. So if you want to talk anything on financial preparedness, Also an ordained minister, so I try to pay it forward as much as I can. I can't give individual advice unless you're a client of mine, so just be aware we can't talk all things specific. But if you have anything on the financial side that you want to talk to me about, reach out to me. Alfredo, why would somebody reach out to you?
Easy. I did everything wrong during transition, so you don't have to. I ended up homeless. I ended up suicidal. I missed out on so many different benefits that I didn't bother to research and find out were out there. I was stubborn. I was pig-headed. I thought I knew everything. I thought I was indestructible. I'm not. And I mean it, just about any aspect negative that you could go through. Been divorced twice. Had my credit ruined twice. Lost my security clearance because of it. I've been through it. Okay. I'm very empathetic. I'm a good listener. I can help you either by talking to you and guiding you, or by connecting you with any one of my 150,000 people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. That's why. That
Awesome.
and I'm a good looking older guy. So why wouldn't you want some tips on, on
Right,
this?
right. And you wear paisleys well. So. Oh, you're there we go. There we go. That's awesome. Leslie, why would somebody reach out to you?
And he's a big teddy bear. No, Alfredo's a fantastic listener. I'm going to take the same route. I'm going to say, not really necessarily why to reach out to me, but what not to do. So when I came through, and I'm actually an alumna of the program, I had a mentor, I was a spouse, I was in the middle of the Mojave Desert at the time, I had 4 kids, and I was like, who am I to talk to this person whose face has been on Times Square? Who am I to, I'm gonna waste her time. So what did I do? I delayed the calls, I would cancel them, I would push them to the right. And the thing about mentorship, at least with our program, and everybody on this call really, but with our program, we only give one person to focus on. And I was robbing her of the things she was trying to do. She was literally just trying to help me. That's why she's a volunteer. She's not even military connected. She volunteered to try to help me. And I'm like, I'm not worthy. I'm going to waste your time. So I'm going to cancel the call. I'm going to delay the call. So don't do me, just like Alfredo. I learned for you. Get out of your own head. You are not wasting anyone's time. You're worthy. Learn from somebody that has been through it before, that can guide you and be that sounding board and that support system. Do not, as Todd mentioned from the beginning, or maybe it was Alfredo, don't do it alone. You do not have to do this alone. This is just a brief snapshot of the support that's out here for you. So we're here to walk this journey with you.
Awesome. Well, listen, everybody, thank you so much. You will get one final email that will have everybody's LinkedIn with a link there that you can connect with them. You'll get a link to the video recording of this transcript. Thank you so much. Reach out if we can be of help, and y'all have a great rest of your night. Thanks, everybody.